I found out my boyfriend was cheating. So I made him lose everything without saying a word. I'll start this off by saying I'm not the kind of person who seeks revenge. I was the peacemaker in every relationship, that talk it out and compromise type. So if you're reading this expecting some story of immediate payback, no. That's not how this started. But it is how it ended. My name's Riley. I'm 27. And until 5 months ago, I was living with my boyfriend Evan in a modest apartment in Austin, Texas. We'd been together for 3 years. And like every bad love story, I thought he was the one. Evan was charming, smart, and thoughtful in a textbook way. Flowers for no reason. Remembering what I liked in my coffee, compliments when I least expected it. He was in tech, something cybersecurity related I never fully understood, and I worked in social media management, mostly remote. We were that annoying couple that posted cozy brunch pics and just because date nights. But if you looked closely at those photos, you might notice something. They were always from my phone. He never posted us. He said he wasn't into oversharing, and I believed him. For 3 years, I believed him. The first real crack in our perfect world came in the form of a gray hoodie. It sounds stupid, I know. But that hoodie wasn't his. It was too small. Not Evan. He had this collection of graphic tees and oversized hoodies, mostly from tech conferences and startups. This one? Plain light gray, with a tiny embroidered M on the left sleeve. I found it one Thursday morning when I was doing laundry. I held it up, confused. It didn't smell like Evan. It smelled like floral detergent and some kind of perfume. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So I did what I thought was rational. "Hey," I said that night, casually, like I wasn't dying inside. "Do you know whose hoodie this is?" Found it mixed in with our stuff. He didn't even flinch. "Oh, must be James. He crashed here after that poker night a couple weekends back, remember?" I remembered. Sort of. Except James was 6'4" and built like a linebacker. This hoodie wouldn't fit a teenage girl. Still, I nodded and folded it like it didn't matter. But that night, I didn't sleep. Something shifted after that. I became observant. Not obsessive, not yet. But I started noticing the way he angled his phone away when I passed by. How he suddenly had late calls with clients multiple times a week. He started hitting the gym more. Got new cologne. He told me it was a freebie from work. It obviously wasn't. Here's the thing about working in social media. You get really good at digging. It's half the job finding mentions, comments, untagged photos, and connections. So I put on my digital detective hat and started small. I checked his Venmo. Yeah. I know, sounds silly, but Venmo is a goldmine if people don't make things private. And there it was. Payment after payment to someone named Mar. Sometimes. With emojis. A wine glass. A heart. A fox. I clicked the profile. Her name was Marissa. She was pretty, blonde, and way too familiar. We'd met at a party Evan took me to back in October. She was just a friend from the gym. They had talked a lot that night. I remember thinking how friendly she was. And how she kept touching his arm. I went full spiral after that. I checked his location history, which we shared for safety reasons. Lots of unexplained detours. He'd been working late on nights. He was in completely different zip codes. One night, he was at a cabin out in Fredericksburg. No client in the world needed a cybersecurity consultation in the middle of a wine vineyard. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I confronted him. It was a Saturday night, and we were sitting on the couch, eating takeout. I put my fork down and said it calmly. "Are you cheating on me?" He didn't even pause. "What? No. Where is this coming from?" I told him about the hoodie, the Venmo, the gym girl. He scoffed. "You've really lost it." That was his go-to line. Anytime I brought up something he didn't want to deal with, he made me feel like I was crazy. "You're paranoid. You always do this when you're stressed." He even turned it into a "you don't trust me" speech. Told me he was thinking about proposing. But now he wasn't sure if I was mature enough for marriage, and then he cried. "I wish I was kidding." He cried and said he couldn't believe I'd think so little of him. That I was letting social media garbage rot my brain. That I was self-sabotaging. I ended up apologizing. I actually apologized. For asking, for doubting him. For making him feel attacked. God, I hate that version of me, but I also knew something was off and I wasn't going to stop digging. I just had to get smarter. That's when I decided to play the long game. I started saving everything. Screenshots, GPS logs, Venmo records. And I even created a fake Instagram account, just a basic cute girl with a fitness interest, and followed Marissa. She accepted within a day. And what did she post? Oh, it was gold. It wasn't always direct, but always telling. There were shots of dinners I didn't go to, matching bracelets, a picture of his side of the bed, with a freckled arm barely cropped out, and a video of a dog that looked suspiciously like Evan's sister's new puppy. Evan, who wasn't into social media, had a whole shadow life on hers. The final straw was the caption that read, 3 years of hiding. But I'd rather be his secret than someone else's public mistake. 3 years. 3. Freaking years. I did the math. He'd been with both of us the entire time. Everything, every vacation, every anniversary, every I love you, had a ghost version in her world. I didn't know whether to scream or throw up, but I didn't do either. Instead, I smiled because I had a plan. I won't lie to you and say I didn't want to rage. I wanted to key his car, out him online, and destroy him in the court of public opinion. But that's the thing, Evan was calculated. He'd already painted me as unstable to a lot of our friends. Any big reaction would play right into that. So I became ice cold. Collected, kind, distant, in a busy with work way. I started stashing money. I opened a second bank account in my name only. I transferred my direct deposit to my new bank and called my landlord. I found out he'd never put his name on the lease like he promised. It was all in my name. Perfect. I started moving my important things to my sister's place, little by little. He never noticed, and when everything was ready, I set my final trap. I told him I was going away for a weekend girls' trip, something I desperately needed after our recent tension. He kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me, and even helped carry my bag to the car. What an idiot. I waited 45 minutes, then doubled back with my sister's spare key and a GoPro. I set it up facing the door, hidden in a plant on top of our bookshelf. It was motion activated, had a full battery, and a full memory card. I had a hunch he'd take the opportunity to invite her over, and he did. He didn't even wait a full hour. The footage made me nauseous, but I watched every second. Him unlocking the door with a bottle of wine. Her giggling, stepping inside, and kissing him like she lived there. She even commented on the new pillows I had just bought. He told her, "Yeah, Riley's trying this new aesthetic or whatever. I don't care. You're the one I want here anyway." That was it. That was the moment my love for him completely died, and I was ready for the real finale. After watching that footage, I sat in my sister's kitchen until the sun came up. She offered me whiskey. I asked for coffee. We didn't speak much. I was too wired. Not crying, not angry, just focused. Like something inside me had snapped into place, a version of me I didn't know I had, the old Riley. She would have confronted him, thrown the GoPro at his feet, and screamed in heartbreak. But this Riley knew one thing: he needed to pay. Not with a slap on the wrist, not with a breakup, with everything. I started with his job. You see, Evan worked for a cybersecurity firm called Lark Secure. Boutique, high-end clients. Mostly legal and medical practices who needed confidentiality above all else. He bragged all the time about how elite his position was, how ironclad their NDAs were. So I dug. Remember, I work in digital media. I know how to trace accounts, cross-reference metadata, and match voice prints. Over the last year, Evan had casually used my computer more times than I could count. And while he was busy cheating, I had unknowingly collected browser history, cache data, and access to a private webmail account I never even knew he used. That email was where I struck gold. He'd been moonlighting off the books for clients Lark Secure didn't know about. Small side jobs to make cash under the table. One of them was a plastic surgery office in Houston where he bypassed patient firewalls to help them. Clean up. Botched records. Highly illegal. He also sent confidential scripts to Marissa's brother, who was trying to break into the industry. Emails with terms like, "just make sure this doesn't trace back to me," and "delete after reading." I didn't even have to dig that hard, but I made sure everything I found was copied, printed, and labeled. I made an entire folder. Then I waited. The next target. Marissa. Now, I didn't care about her personally. I didn't even blame her at first. I assumed Evan had lied to her the same way he lied to me. But then I discovered something that changed everything. Remember that hoodie with the little mitt on it? It was custom made. I found the brand on Instagram, a small boutique. Does one-off initials for couples. She tagged them in a throwback post from 2 years ago. The caption? "We match in more ways than one." I stared at it, stunned. She knew. She'd known about me the whole time. The post was from our anniversary week. That's when the gloves came off. I couldn't hurt her physically. That's not who I am. But I could make her regret ever getting involved in my life. I made a fake wedding planning profile and followed her. She accepted, of course. And that gave me access to all of her vendor wish lists, pinned venues even. Her wedding dress screenshots. Turns out she was under the impression Evan was leaving me soon, and they were just waiting for the dust to settle. They'd even set a tentative date. November 2nd. How cute. Then came the final chess move. Operation Public Meltdown. The plan had 3 parts. Each one needed to hit hard, fast, and at exactly the right time. So I set a date. 2 weeks from the day I watched the footage. Just enough time to fine-tune every detail. Step 1. Destroy the illusion. On a Thursday morning, I printed 10 still images from the GoPro footage, just enough to confirm their relationship but not too scandalous. I slid them into envelopes with a note that read, "If this is what he does when she's out of town, imagine what he does when she's out of his life." Then I sent them to Evan's boss, Marissa's parents, Marissa's brother, the one. He leaked data to 3 mutual friends who always gushed about how perfect we were. Evan's gym, where they worked out together. And just for fun, his old college roommate who once hit on me. Inside each envelope was also a QR code leading to a private website. What was on that website? My neatly organized folder of everything. Screenshots of messages, voice recordings of him talking about Marissa while in bed with me, the GoPro footage, cut and edited with date stamps, and a video of me narrating the whole thing, calm and clear, explaining the dual relationships. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just told the truth. Step 2. Let the web cave in. The following Monday, Evan walked into our apartment like nothing was wrong. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and started talking about dinner. I acted normal. I asked him about his day, and listened to him lie with stunning confidence. Then he got a call and his smile dropped immediately. Then he got another call. And another. By the 5th call, his face was pale. He wasn't saying much, just short, clipped answers. "Yeah, I don't know. Can we talk tomorrow?" When he hung up, he stared at the wall for a full minute. "What's going on?" I asked sweetly, curling up next to him. He looked like he was going to throw up. "Someone's spreading lies about me," he muttered. "Oh." I blinked innocently. "What kind of lies?" He stood up and started pacing. "My boss got some anonymous package with a fake site. Marissa's freaking out, saying her mom saw something like videos." I put a hand to my mouth. "Wow, that's crazy. What's on the videos?" He didn't answer. He just stared at me. I stared right back. He knew. He just didn't want to believe it. Step 3, the eviction. 2 days later, I came home from work with 2 cops and a moving truck. Remember how the lease was only in my name. Yeah, I had filed a formal notice with our landlord citing unauthorized occupants and safety concerns. Presented the footage. They approved immediate action. Evan was served. Notice that morning. He had 72 hours to vacate, but I didn't wait that long. When we arrived, he was still there sitting on the floor, staring at his phone like it owed him answers. He looked up at me and said one word. "Why?" That broke me a little. Not because I felt bad, but because he still didn't get it. So I told him. "Because you made me feel crazy for years." Because you gaslit me every time I questioned your loyalty. Because you wasted 3 years of my life, fed me lies, and then tried to make me feel guilty for catching you. He didn't say a word. The cops gave him 10 minutes to grab essentials. Everything else would be boxed and stored until he paid a fee. He walked out with a duffel bag and his laptop. I walked in and poured a glass of wine. That night, I opened Instagram. Marissa had posted a black square. Captioned, "Sometimes the people we trust the most wear the best masks. I'm done." Comments were off. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. What followed was chaos. Evan was fired. Lark Secure had a zero-tolerance policy for side contracts, especially those involving legal breaches. Once the emails surfaced, they had no choice. He lost his job, his benefits, and all his pending job offers. Marissa blocked him everywhere. Her brother threatened to sue if Evan contacted him again. Mutual friends? Split down the middle. Some texted me apologies. Others tried to stay neutral. But neutrality and betrayal is just silent approval, so I cut them all off. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt light. Not vindicated. Not heroic. Just free. I moved into a new apartment with sunlight and plants and a lock. I didn't have to share. I changed my number and took a solo trip to Santa Fe. No checking in with anyone. No fake smiles, just me and the version of Riley I had buried under years of manipulation. I thought that would be the end. But Evan wasn't done. Not yet. You'd think that after losing his job, his relationship, his side girl, and his social circle, Evan would disappear into the shadows. You'd think maybe, finally, the universe would teach him humility. But Evan didn't learn lessons. He just changed tactics. He started small, testing the waters. A blocked call here. An email to my business inquiry address there. The first email read, "You made your point. I lost everything. You can stop now." I hadn't responded. I never intended to, but it was telling. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught. And even more sorry that I had taken control of the narrative. The second email came a week later. It was longer, sloppier, and full of justifications. You weren't easy to talk to. You were always suspicious. I needed comfort, and she was just there. It didn't mean I didn't love you. It didn't mean he didn't love me. I stared at those words like they were a joke. Like they weren't coming from the same man who once told Marissa she was the only real thing in his life. He tried to play the redemption arc. A LinkedIn post a few days later said, "We all fall short sometimes. But I believe in growth, ownership, and moving forward. Here's to second chances and building better futures." He even shared a photo of a stack of self-help books and a green SMOOTHIE. Evan had always been a master of performance. But what he didn't realize was this time, I was the audience. And I wasn't clapping. About 2 months after everything went down, I got a call from my sister. She was at work and I could hear the background noise of a busy office. "Hey." "Weird question," she said cautiously. "Did you know Evan applied here?" My stomach tightened. "What?" "Yeah." She sighed. "We had a marketing associate position open. It's not even tech related, but he listed you as a creative collaborator and me as a personal reference. He had the audacity to use both of us. As if none of this happened. As if he could just spin his way into a new life on the scraps of the old one." I asked her to send me his resume, and what I saw made me laugh. Then seethed. Under volunteer projects, he had written, "Assisted with the production and strategic growth of an emotional wellness podcast focused on healing and resilience in digital relationships." He was trying to take credit for my podcast. The same podcast born from the emotional wreckage he caused. The one I built from the ground up, while he was busy juggling women and lying to their faces. I had already trademarked the name, and I had the content copyrighted. But now I had proof of impersonation and intellectual theft. So I took action. My lawyer drafted the letter the next day. Clear, professional, and delivered directly to every place I suspected he had applied and to Evan himself. The subject line wrote, "Unauthorized claims regarding the other side of gaslight. Immediate action required." He didn't respond. But 2 days later, My podcast inbox got an anonymous message. Do you ever get tired of playing the victim? I didn't reply. I just smiled and dropped another episode. This one was titled, When the Villain Thinks They Wrote the Story. You'd think that would be the end of it. But Evan wasn't quite done humiliating himself. Because in July, 3 months post-breakup, I was invited to speak at a Women in Tech panel. I hesitated at first, but something in me said, go, close this chapter your way. I prepared my speech. I practiced until I felt ready. What I wasn't ready for was seeing Evan sitting in the back row. No badge, no affiliation. Just watching. His eyes never left me. I walked on stage, took a breath, and delivered my talk. Digital intuition. How to trust yourself when the data doesn't add up. I spoke about patterns and quiet betrayals. How abuse can wear a charming face. I didn't name him, of course, but anyone who knew my story. They knew. He stayed the entire time. He didn't approach me during the Q&A and definitely didn't clap. But as I packed up afterward, he appeared beside me. Still handsome, still trying to wear that reformed look, clean shave, button-down shirt. The I'm trying aesthetic. You've come a long way, he said, his voice low. I didn't flinch. I looked him square in the eyes and replied, yeah, and I never needed you to get here. That's when I saw it. His mask cracked. Just a flicker, but it was there. Because narcissists hate losing their grip. And I wasn't just free, I was flying. That should have been the last time I saw him. But life has a funny way of offering bonus endings. About a month ago, I was contacted by a production company. They were building a documentary series about online relationship dynamics and wanted to interview me. At first, I hesitated. I didn't want to be known as the girl who got cheated on forever, but then I realized this wasn't about Evan anymore. This was about the Rileys out there who were being gaslit into silence, who were doubting their instincts, who were blaming themselves for not being enough. So I said yes. They flew me out to LA. They paid for hair, makeup, and a gorgeous outfit. I wore white. It was symbolic, I guess. And when the cameras rolled, I told the truth. Not with rage, not with tears, but with clarity, because healing isn't loud, it's quiet. It's choosing peace over closure. It's walking away without needing to be heard by the person who hurt you. Today, I live in a warm, plant-filled loft with a dog I rescued named Bowie. He sleeps by my feet when I record podcast episodes and barks every time I say the word liar. Unintentional but poetic. My podcast now has sponsors and my book is coming out this fall. And I run a private support group that has over 3,000 members worldwide. People sending messages like, your story saved me. I left because of your voice. And I finally feel seen. And that's the ending I never saw coming. Not a dramatic explosion. Not a courtroom victory. But a quiet empire built from ashes. One post, one episode, one truth at a time. I don't think about Evan much anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he listens to the podcast. I wonder if he recognizes his words in my voice. If he sees my name on a bookshelf and feels the weight of what he lost. But it doesn't matter. Because I'm not telling this story for him. I'm telling it for every person who ever wondered if love should hurt this much. If silence meant peace or punishment. If they were crazy or just being conditioned not to trust themselves. You're not crazy, you're waking up. And when you do, you won't just survive. You'll rebuild and they won't be able to touch you ever again.